Okay, we're going to focus on shipment tracking and some of the automation that's available in terms of shipment tracking to hopefully save on time in terms of manual checking into the shipping companies' websites and managing shipping through spreadsheets and things like that. That can all kind of be managed in one place and automated. So let's go through that process. So I'm going to go into logistics module. And we're going to focus on the inbound side, and specifically in this menu item called container maintenance. So let's say we want to create a brand new container. I'll do that from this first screen, create container. So the key here is the container number. So I'm going to enter a container number, and we're going to select from down here a listing of available purchase orders that have not yet shipped. So if I sort that by date, pull my most recent, I'm going to select this venture or this shipment of tuna. It's coming from this supplier. It's 20,000 pounds. Those are our ship dates. I'll select this one and click Add to Container, which brings it up here. Now we can add other items or other purchase orders into this container as well. We can make adjustments to quantities at this point. If the supplier is shipping us short or shipping us heavy, we can make those adjustments. I'm just going to leave it as is and click Proceed. So that'll bring us into this next screen where we're managing the details of this container. So some of this can be done manually, but for purposes of this discussion, let's focus on the automated functions. So for each individual container, you can choose whether or not you want to auto sync, or you want the system to check on the status of that container, or you want to do it manually. If you check on auto sync, then the system will run a check periodically. It could be every 6 hours or it could be once a day. It'll check on the status of that container, and it'll check on the shipping dates. So we actually have a live feed using a third party. We have a live feed into the carrier information, and we'll run this check every 6 hours or once per day. That's configurable. And anytime that these changes happen, a change in the status, those changes get reflected automatically in the system, and you receive an email notification letting you know that there was a change in the status. So if we're just looking at the details of what's being managed here, you've got the container number, the vessel, the shipping dates. This shows us what's in the container. General information is going to be other logistics related information, like again, who the shipping company is, bill of lading number, BL date, what type of container it is, destination, origin, any comments or notes. So this is kind of a manual thing. You can update comments about the shipment. You can keep track of transshipment details. If there's a feeder vessel or some other leg of the journey that you want to keep track of, you can do that. There's documentation that the system creates around containers as well. So let's take a peek at some of these. You're choosing a third party, either customs house broker or freight forwarder or someone who's assisting you in the customs clearance process, and then the system will actually generate documentation for that third party. We call it a container instruction sheet. So you'll see it loads an Excel spreadsheet. There's multiple worksheets in this Excel spreadsheet. So the first one is this Importer Security Filing Form, or ISF form. This is all the information required for an ISF filing. So like where the container was loaded, where it's shipping from, where it's shipping to, description of the goods, how you expect the goods to be classified, the customs classification codes or tariff codes. So this is actually the required information for the ISF filing. This can be emailed to the third party. This would be if it's not already provided by your supplier. Some people have the vendors themselves provide this information, but if you're required to send it, you can generate that document from here. So that would go out prior to the good shipping. There's also this broker instructions, which is so when you send the shipping documents to your customs house broker or your freight forwarder, this is designed as a cover letter or cover sheet that's going to go with it. So very similar information as you saw in the ISF filing. You know, where it's shipping from and to and dates and things like that, the value of the goods. So that gets sent out as well. There's also this delivery order. So if you're arranging for the trucking, when the container actually arrives, if you're arranging with the trucking to bring it to the warehouse or ship it direct to a customer, this documentation kind of assists in that. So you choose who the freight carrier or who the trucking company is, a date, and then we're going to choose, is this particular container shipping to a warehouse or is this one going direct to the customer? Let's say in this case it is going to a warehouse, and I'll choose from my list of warehouses here. Let's say it's shipping to Epic, and I'll click Generate Document, which is going to load another Excel spreadsheet. Actually, again, multiple worksheets here too. So the first worksheet is what we call warehouse arrival notice. So notification that gets sent to the warehouse to let them know the container arriving, what's in the container, the trucking company is bringing it, and any special instructions to the warehouse would appear there as well. So you email that as a PDF. There's a second document which we call pickup notice, designed to be emailed to the trucking company, that just lets them know that there's a container for them to pick up at the port. Here's what's on the container. Bring it to this warehouse, and similar things, special instructions to the trucker as well. So I'm going to close that out, and you'll notice back in the system here, this documents and images area. This is any documentation that the system has generated related to this particular container, but also where you're managing any documentation that you're receiving in from third-party sources. So if you click into this Add Document link, you can drag and drop documents in here, or you can actually select from files on your computer. So let's say we're going to choose, we'll select the bill lading, packing list, commercial invoice, certificate of analysis, any documentation that you have related to this. You can upload it, and now you're kind of keeping everything stored together in this one place. You can email out from here too. So if you want to say take the whole document packet, email that to your freight forwarder, just click that, and then you're choosing who you want to send it to, and it will send those as attachments in that email. Costing, there's also an area here where you can enter estimated costs. So either these estimated costs can be system calculated, and so for some things we can calculate what we expect those costs to be. In other cases, you can enter them manually, and what will happen is the system's going to use those costs it'll distribute those costs across any of the items that are in that container to help you calculate what your landed cost is. So the estimates will be used up until the point you actually get the bill. When the bill goes in, that overwrites the estimate, and it uses that instead. Different compliance-related information here. So if anything's held up at customs for any reason, you can indicate that. You can put a date around that, and the system will send email alerts around that too. So if something's been sitting for a certain period of time, you can receive an email alert, and that alert will show up on your homepage as well. Finally, there's a third-party tool that we integrate with called TRG Direct. Actually, the company name has recently changed to Strix. But what this allows you to do is direct file both your ISF and customs entries through the system. It does require an account with this third party, TRG Direct or Strix, to do it, but you can direct file, which is less expensive than using a normal freight forwarder or customs house broker to do the customs entry and ISF entries. So let's talk about the reporting that's available. A couple of the statuses here. So like initially when the container gets created, it has a status of at source. So the idea there is container might have been loaded, but it hasn't actually shipped yet. Once it does ship, you would change that status to in transit, which it just asks you what date did it actually ship. And then you would leave it in that status up until the point that it actually arrives, in which case you would change that status again to move to warehouse. So I'll just do that. Let's say we're going to receive it into one of our warehouses, and we'll just choose which warehouse it is, and we'll put a date on that. And then that date gets stored along with that inventory. As far as reporting goes, in terms of tools to see what's available to look up the status on containers, there's a really good tool in the logistics menu. We call it Venture Explorer. So this is a way to look at not just what you have in inventory, but also all these other different statuses that the inventory can have. What's on the water, what's at source, like, still, maybe a container is loaded but didn't ship yet, and just open purchase orders that we may have sent to a vendor, but they didn't do anything with yet. So you can filter by these statuses and then any of these other options down here as well. So one example would be just show me everything that's currently in transit that we expect to arrive, say, in the next month. So you can put ETA, filter, date filters around that too. I'm just going to say show me everything that's currently in transit, let's say. So returns a list of anything that's currently on the water. We can drill down into the containers themselves. So like if you wanted to see the documentation for that particular container, what your costs are on that particular container, all the details of the container, you could do that. And let me filter that again by, say, in transits. So something else I wanted to mention here. So this is everything on the water. That's the venture number or the purchase order number, status, the supplier that it's coming from, what the products are, quantities, shipping dates, what port it's coming into, container numbers, there's again quantities there, and then this is one of the things I want to show you. So there's a link into this marine traffic. So this is a live feed into exactly where that vessel is. Now for this to work, you have to make sure that the vessel name is filled in at the container level. So as long as that vessel name is filled in, then it brings you into this screen where it gives you additional details about that vessel, real-time updated ETA information, the speed that vessel's traveling at, and you can even see on a live map exactly where that vessel is. This takes a second to load, yeah, but then you can see exactly where that vessel is. I'm going to close this and zoom out a bit, and it shows you based on the actual vessel, like GPS coordinates, exactly where that vessel is in the world. So that's a live look at exactly where it is. So that's this Venture Explorer tool. It's really powerful tool in terms of keeping track of shipments. There's other filter options here too. So if you click into this advanced search option, then the screen refreshes, gives you all kinds of other filtering. If you want to filter by shipping company, by lot number, you could even filter by customer. So if you have inventory that's pre-allocated to a particular customer, you want to say, show me any inventory that we have or anything coming in that's for a particular customer, you could do that too. So really powerful tool, and even the results are all customizable. So this grid that appears when you go into venture analysis, these columns are all, you can manage these yourself in the scan management tool. So I would suggest if you want to learn more about how to adjust those specific columns, look for the video updating scans.